everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia, and on this channel I talk about metaphysics, psychology, and everything in between. In today's video, I'll be talking about The Untethered Soul, a book by Michael A. Singer. I'm going to put it right here. This book is absolutely life-changing, life-altering. This is the book that started me on my journey to spirituality. And if you're looking to build your spirituality as well, this is definitely the book for you. And I'm sure you'll find this video very interesting because I'll be talking about 5 big ideas I got from the book. I have to warn you though, I think you have to be ready for this book, because if you're not, you may find it a little woo-woo. But then again, since you're watching this video, it means that you are ready and the universe wants to introduce you to the book. So I will be discussing 5 big ideas that I got from the book that were very eye-opening to me, and I believe will be eye-opening for you as well. If that is something that you're interested in, please stay tuned and let's delve right in. Big idea number 1, the roommate. Have you noticed that you have a voice inside your head that keeps talking? If you haven't, just take a walk outside in a new area. Before you know it, this voice will start narrating the world around you. That is a big tree with green leaves. That is a black car that has just passed by, or that is an old man that is sitting on that bench. It does this in an attempt to kind of give you control so you can feel safe. It doesn't seem unbearable, right? However, when you happen to face an existential crisis, say you lose your job or someone dumps you and you question the purpose of your life, that inner voice will start to run a mile a minute. It will tell you, do this, no, do that, go here, no, go there. You have to do something about this. It's not fair what this person has done to you. It is over. That sounds very stressful, right? But this inner voice will keep on going with its incessant chatter in your mind. Now, imagine that you get this voice out of your head, right? Give it a physical form and then make it your roommate. Imagine if you're going through that existential crisis that we've talked about. This roommate of yours will be talking non-stop, constantly giving you advice on what to do. Dump him, dump her. It's okay, leave that job. They don't even deserve you anyway. Like, it will be talking constantly, and that incessant chatter will make you probably decide to stay away from your roommate. But unfortunately, since you can't get that voice out of your head, give it a physical form and make it your roommate, how do you handle it? How do you handle that incessant chatter in your mind? Now, Michael A. Singer in his book says, just keep quiet and observe. Observe your mind as it's going on with its neurosis and it's running a mile a minute, and this incessant chatter just keeps on going. Just keep quiet and notice the voice. What will happen is that your mind will suddenly keep quiet because you have shined your light of awareness on that voice. It will dissipate, and then it will become peaceful in your mind again. Funny enough, recently something happened to me, and I was doing the dishes, and while I was doing the dishes, my mind started coming up with this mental movies of what had happened, how I should go about it. My mind was running wild. And then when I remembered Michael A. Singer instructing us to just keep quiet and observe the mind, I did that. When I did that, like, my mind just kept quiet. It's like every single time I would remember and I just keep quiet and I observe the mind, the noise will quiet down. It's crazy. So instead of suffering with that neurosis happening in your mind, just keep quiet, observe the mind. Because remember, you are not your thoughts. Because if you can observe them, that means you're separate from them. You are the one who sees the thoughts. So when you keep quiet and you just observe the thoughts, they will dissipate. Which takes me to the next big idea. Idea number 2. Who are you? Now, this is quite interesting. Imagine someone came up to you and asked you, who are you? You probably said something along the lines of, I'm Susie, I'm 5'4" tall, I am an accountant by profession and I'm married to an awesome guy named John B. The person will probably say, okay, that's interesting. But a few years ago, you were 5'3" tall, you were still in school, and you hadn't yet met John B. Weren't you Susie then? You probably say, yeah, I was Susie then too. Okay, the person says, do you realize that at some point you were a toddler running around your bedroom playing around with dolls? Weren't you Susie then? You're like, yes, I was Susie then too. At this time, come to the awareness that you are not all these external things that were happening to you. You are the one who sees these things happening to you. You are the being, the indwelling being that has always been back there observing your life. When you were a toddler, when you were a teenager, when you were a young adult, and now an adult. You are the one who has always been back there, viewing, observing, seeing these things happening to you. That means you are not these external things. You're not the accountant you thought you were. You're not the wife. You are not Susie who's 5'4" tall. You are the indwelling being who has been aware of all these things that have been happening in your life. So who you are is consciousness. Who you are is pure awareness. You are spirit seated in your seat of consciousness. You are probably now wondering, whoa, sounds like I'm a powerful being with these magical powers called consciousness or awareness. Well, you are absolutely right. And in the next big idea, I'm going to explain to you how your power, which is consciousness, works. Idea number 3, your seat of consciousness, which I like to call your throne. Have you ever felt so immersed in your career, your relationship, your passion project, or whatever it is that you gave your awareness to? That is because, like I've said, you fed it with your awareness. You fed it with your consciousness. Consciousness is you, is who you are. It's literally your life. So when you concentrate on one particular aspect of your life, say for example, your relationship, you intertwine yourself with it and you become one with that thing, in that all the other aspects of your life pause. Let me explain. For example, in the book Michael Essinger gave the perfect example that explains this. He said, imagine, close your eyes and just start seeing different kinds of objects passing your mind. For example, a horse, a shoe, an abstract thought, a cup, whatever it is. Just close your eyes and see these objects just floating around your mind. Yeah? Now, pick one object to concentrate on. For example, pick the horse. What will happen is that the moment you select that horse and you feed it with your consciousness, it is going to expand. It's going to get bigger and bigger in your awareness. And what will happen is that the other objects will pause. And the more you stick with it, the more you feed the horse your consciousness, it is going to blow up and become huge. And what will happen is that now you will even cease to see the other objects, and now you're completely focusing on the horse. Now this is how it happens in real life, in reality. Say for example, you have a job, you have a relationship, you have family members, you have friends, you have your passion project. If you decide to focus on one thing, say for example your relationship, what will happen is that you will blow up that relationship by focusing on it, feeding it your awareness, feeding it your consciousness, which is to say your life. What will happen is that all the other aspects of your life will pause and you will become completely immersed in your relationship. And if you are unable to zoom out, you completely lose your seat of consciousness, which is your throne. Because what would have happened is that you would have come down from your seat of consciousness, combined with your relationship, and now you're fully immersed in your relationship. So you have paused your job, you have paused your friendships, you have paused your family, you have paused your passion project, and you're completely immersed in your relationship. What you need to do is zoom out of that relationship. Get out of that trance. Get back on your seat of consciousness and just observe it. All the other aspects will now come into your awareness, your consciousness, your work, your family, your friends, your passion project. And I don't mean to seem esoteric. What I'm trying to say here is that we need to understand the power of moments. When you're in your relationship and it's going great, instead of getting immersed in it and losing yourself and losing sight of all the other important aspects in your life, enjoy that moment when it's happening and learn to live each moment in that moment. That moment belongs to that moment. If you're with your partner having fun, enjoy it completely. When it's done, get your focus off the relationship and focus on other aspects of your life. And when you're done with work, and you're back with your partner, with your friends, with your family, or you're working on your passion project, completely focus your awareness on that. So we need to learn how to live in moments. And when those moments are done, you leave that moment to that moment. Otherwise, if you fully concentrate your life, which is to say your consciousness on that thing, you'll become intertwined with that aspect. And you completely lose sight and focus of all the other things. And you don't want that happening. So, big idea number 4 is the heart center, the heart chakra. This is very interesting. Did you know that we have different energy centers in our bodies? But the one that is mostly known is the heart center. And the reason why the heart center is the one that is mostly known by people is that it's the one we tend to close a lot. The best way I can explain this is through an analogy or a story. So imagine that you just got dumped. Yeah, sucks, right? But let's imagine that. Imagine you just got dumped. What will happen if you're just like any other human species? You will go through a series of stages to get over the heartbreak. And of course, let's talk about my least favorite of them all, which is the depression stage. What will happen is that while in this stage, you will have no energy. All you want to do is ruminate, stay in your bed and be left alone. That is literally all you want to do. You don't have any energy to do anything. But here's where it gets interesting. Imagine that some weeks have passed and now your partner calls you, asks to speak with you because they miss you and they want to work things out. All of a sudden, you will get up from your lethargic state, clean your house, take a shower, do the dishes. You will even have the energy to call up a friend and ask them advice on what you should say. Wow, isn't that crazy? I thought you didn't have energy to do anything. So where did all this energy come from? So what happens is that when your partner dumped you and you got hurt, you closed your heart. And when you closed your heart, you prevented source energy from flowing through your heart. Now, source energy is that life force that we have infinite access to. It doesn't matter whether you are male or female, whether you're young or old, we all have access to source energy. That is why you may find an 8-year-old man working like a teenager. It is because he's in touch with his source energy. He's open, it's always flowing through him, and he has this energy that keeps him going. So what happens is that when you're dumped, you shut out that source energy. It can't flow through you. And that's why you feel like you are lethargic, you don't have the energy to do the things you used to do before. You're not sick or indisposed, you just don't have energy. Now, when your partner calls and say they want to talk to you, they miss you, they want to work out things, what happens is that you open your heart. Now, when you open your heart, you allow that life force, that source energy to flow through your heart again. And that is why you get this burst of energy where you suddenly can do the dishes, clean your house, take a shower, and get ready to host them and have the talk. It is crazy, isn't it? The reason why we tend to close our hearts is because that situation is very traumatic, and because it's traumatic, we do not want to process that energy. We don't want to let it go through us because it's painful. And these traumatic situations leave us with impressions. These impressions will become like a ball of energy that can't pass through your heart because you won't let it. It's painful, right? So you close up, you trap that energy within you, and because you don't want to process it, it cannot go through you. So it will become a ball of energy that's in your heart. And the more impressions that you keep in your heart, the more your heart will get blocked. It will get bogged down and energy can't pass through you. These impressions or blocked energies that are trapped in your heart were termed as samskara by the yogis. Back to our example of being dumped. Imagine years have passed by. In one day, you're just in your car driving with your new partner, you are laughing, talking, and having fun, and you're noticing the trees and the buildings, the people as you pass them by, right? And as soon as you notice them, they are processed by your mind, and you forget about them. On and on and on it goes. Then something happens. As you're driving, you notice a familiar car pass you by, and you manage to steal a glimpse, and you realize that it's your ex with someone else. And yes, it seemed like they were hugging. Funny enough, even after you have long passed this car and your ex, your mind will cling to this. It will not be processed by your mind. Meanwhile, before you saw that car, everything you saw managed to get processed by your mind and leave you. But this particular scenario is not being processed by your mind. The reason why it's not being processed by your mind is that you kept that blocked energy that time when you broke up. You didn't process those feelings. And what happened is that that situation, that moment, triggered that blocked energy within you. And suddenly you feel your heart heat up. And the funny thing is that when that blocked energy, that samskara, is triggered, you will feel the same feelings. You will even get the same thoughts that you had when you broke up all those years ago. And that is because these samskaras, these impressions, this blocked energy, whatever you want to call it, stores the thoughts and emotions that you are experiencing when they were first created and stored in your heart. Now, you shouldn't feel apprehensive or despondent about this, because when this scenario happens, it is giving you the opportunity to process that blocked energy that you kept in your heart all those years. And what you need to do is just relax your heart, smile, and release. It's literally that simple. As you're driving and you notice that you are still thinking about your ex because you saw them in that car, and all these feelings and thoughts you had back then when you broke up have been stirred back up, smile. Tell yourself, this is blocked energy that is coming up, that is letting me know that it wants to be processed and finally leave my body. So smile, relax your heart, open it up, and let that energy flow. The last big idea, number 5. This is how letting go works, or even the reason as to why letting go is important. I can best explain this with an example. Have you ever held on to an idea, a thought, or an emotion for too long, in that you created a monster with it? Now imagine that suddenly you get a thought that your partner is cheating on you. Instead of having a conversation with them about your worries, you decide to hold on to this thought. You let it eat you up inside, and then it leads you to act in passive-aggressive ways towards your partner. Now imagine that you can't take it anymore. You involve your partner and you tell them, actually you accuse them that you're cheating on me. What has happened is that you have now involved another human's mind and heart in this. What will happen is that will cause the drama to blow up. Yet initially it was just a thought. If you had had a proper conversation with your partner about it and say, hey, I'm having these kinds of thoughts, is it weird or is it just me? And had like a proper grown-up conversation. But because you just went cold turkey and decided to tell them, accuse them that you cheated on me, it makes them act defensive. Now imagine something that was just initially a thought has blown up into this big negative experience. But if you had just decided to let that thought go from the beginning, when it initially cropped up in your mind, you would have avoided this whole entire ordeal. Because remember, why it's important to have had that conversation with your partner about those worries. They would have probably let you know that, no, maybe I'm acting weird and suspicious because I'm going through some things. Maybe things at work are not great, maybe my family is not great, but you jump to conclusions and you accuse them of cheating, and now that you have involved another person's mind and heart in the situation, it has blown up the entire situation. What happened is that you got out of your seat of consciousness and fed this idea that your partner is cheating on you with your awareness, with your consciousness, which led it to blow up. Remember the example I gave of the horse? You listen to that inner voice in your head, which by the way is neurotic, melodramatic, and borderline schizophrenic. And because you fed it with your attention and awareness, you caused it to expand. And since you are consciousness and awareness, you have given your life to that thought. You have become the drama, and the drama has become you. Now, this is how our traumas or our blocked energy cause us to not let go of things. So the reason why you're probably acting like that is that maybe someone cheated on you in the past, and this traumatic situation left that impression on you, that blocked energy. In that, when you notice your partner being weird and suspicious, it triggered that negative energy, that energy in you that was blocked. It triggered it, and your heart started hitting up, and your mind became hyperactive. And instead of letting it go and processing that blocked energy when you felt it being triggered, you held on to that thought. You fed that energy even more. And now, your relationship is in shambles. So it's very important to let go from the start. Because when you fail to let go from the start, you create a monster, and it becomes harder to let go after a series of situations has occurred. And you know, even when it comes to relationships, it's crazy. We give our minds an impossible task, our logical minds an impossible task of, please ensure that this person never cheats on me. Please ensure I never lose my job. That is not your mind's job. It cannot handle that false solidity that you impose on it. We don't have control over so many things. But we build our concept based on all these outer things, that if my partner loves me, that means I'm this. If I have this kind of job, that means I'm this. And therefore I have to continue to ensure that these things are solid. Because if they crumble, I crumble. Because you built, that's how the psyche is built. You built your self-concept. You managed to construct this beautiful self-concept on these outer things that you can't control. You gave your mind an impossible task of keeping this false solidity thing going. So when your relationship fails, you completely lose yourself, because your life was in that relationship. Your consciousness, your awareness was in that relationship, which is to say your life. What you should have done is that when you notice these things happening, when you notice your heart heating up, even before you learn to let go at the heart level, the moment you feel your heart heating up, with the moment you feel a blocked energy being triggered in you, learn to let go at that moment before your mind is involved. Because when your mind gets involved, it becomes hyperactive. And if you're the person who is always getting off your seat of consciousness and getting immersed in whatever folly is happening in your life, you'll completely lose yourself. You see, it's written in the Bible that we shouldn't build our houses on sand. This is the ultimate sand. False solidity. Things that you don't have control over. Don't build your house on those things. Learn to stay seated in your seat of consciousness, your throne. And when your mind is going a mile a minute, when things seem to go crazy in your outer world, just relax and observe. Now, when it comes to thoughts and emotions, they are funny. Instead of coming down from your seat of consciousness and joining these neurotic thoughts and emotions or whatever fall is happening in your outside world, instead of doing that, just stay seated and watch. What you'll notice is that these thoughts and emotions will go through their natural stages, and they will dissipate without your involvement. Funny thing is that good things also happen to us in life, right? For example, you get a great job, you fall in love, or you get married. What happens is that because these situations are so good, you want to hold on to them. And when you hold on to them, you're holding that energy. That's why you see sometimes you can have a memory of maybe the first time you fell in love, your first job, and it will stir up those same feelings and emotions you felt then. It's because it's an impression, a blocked energy that you decided to, an energy that was blocked in your heart because you decided to keep it. It was not processed, it didn't live. So instead of closing, in this moment you are clinging. You are clinging to that energy. It sounds good, but it is not good, because it's still energy that's blocked in your heart, and it prevents the life force, source energy from flowing through your heart. That is why it's important to live every moment in that moment and be present. So I believe that Michael Essinger did an incredible job of explaining to us that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions, we are not the outer objects in our world. We are consciousness. We are pure awareness. This book, The Untethered Soul, is a truly, truly remarkable book, and I give it a 5-star rating. I give it a 6 out of 5. That's how good this book is. It's completely life-changing, life-altering. If I had all the money in the world, I would buy a bunch of copies of this book and just give it to all my family members, all my friends, everyone that I meet, because it is truly, truly life-changing. If you found this video informative, insightful, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, as that helps me out a lot. I will see you in my next video. Bye.